Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the City Chatter Podcast. I'm John Bernstrom, Public Information Officer for the City of Grand Forks, and joining me for episode 33, we've made it 33 episodes, Mayor of Grand Forks, Brandon Bochenski. Thank you, Mayor, for joining us.
Happy to be here. I've been keeping track. I don't know if I've seen all 33, but nice to see we've had some city employees on as well and gone through the council a couple times, so I think it's turned out pretty well. So congrats on having a good show.
Yeah, we have firefighters on before Thanksgiving and hearing stories of legitimately how many cats they do have to rescue on a daily basis.
Everybody loves firefighters, so that's an easy one.
That's right. Firefighters are the funnest. Police department are the ones that you have to deal with on a bad day.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Mayor, as we get into it, we're wrapping up 2024, getting into 2025. That doesn't necessarily mean that you know things stop and start, like things carry over. So just a few projects I want to get some updates on. I know you have been heavily involved in the Red River Valley water supply project that would bring water from western North Dakota to eastern North Dakota in times of a drought. Needle's starting to move. Are we getting to I don't want to call it a finish line on paper. Are we getting there a little bit?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say necessarily a finish line. And I took a seat on the LAWA board. It's when we get one through our city council. So I took that seat. I want to say it's about 6 months now. So it's 6 months in, taking a look around, trying to figure out how everything's working, how the process is flowing. I think it's in a good place. We have to ultimately get to a project participation agreement. So right now we're working between LAWA, which is the Lake Agassiz Water Authority, and Garrison Diversion, which mainly their job has been the McCluskey Canal. They've taken part in this project, so we'll see how that plays out in the future. But it's going to be a hard negotiation. We're going to have to make sure that our citizens get taken care of. Knowing we're the last stop, a lot of the water that flows through this pipeline is going to come to us regardless. So we want to see the project come. We want to make sure we got the right level of participation, but we have to ensure that the cost is affordable, because it's an ongoing cost that will be absorbed by our industry and by our residents even when there's not a flood. There's a cost to maintain this and to pay for the capital. So it's a crucial project, and it's one we've really got to have a lot of eyes on. So I've been diving in head first and spending a lot of time on it.
So when you first ran for mayor in 2020, did you think you'd be talking this much about water?
Well, definitely not. But, when it comes to the Red River and how shallow some of the tributaries and the flows are, we can go from a flood in the spring to a drought, in August, September. I mean, it's just the way this river system works. It's one of the reasons we have some of the best soil in the country and the world in the Red River Valley, because of the amount of flooding and just the way that water has flowed through here for hundreds and thousands of years, quite frankly. So, no to answer that, but a lot of times you'd think you'd be more focused on one or the other. Is it flood mitigation during issues in the spring, or is it's been both floods and droughts, but it's part of the job, and I've had to certainly get up to speed on a lot of these things, because there's important decisions that have to be made in real time.
Some of those decisions that need to be made are at a state legislative level, and coming up in 2025, we have a legislative session. The City Council approved legislative priorities for this session. You want to give some high-level looks at there's not any big ask from the city to the legislature, but there are, right? There's always something on the table.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is some of the Western oil money. They have something called the Prairie Dog Funds, which goes a lot towards our street infrastructure. So that's a big thing. If you see all these projects that are going on, a lot of that's coming from the Prairie Dog Funds. We also use that for our cost share. So that can be about $12.5 million if the state continues paying that. Right. We're able to stay on top of these things, and we want them to move that forward a little bit. Obviously, we want all the transportation buckets to continue to get filled, because that's how we get for example, the interstate project done. Mm-hmm. That's. Probably some of the other things. The Children's Museum's a big one. The city's stepped up in a big way, so there's an ask on the Children's Museum. But usually it's kind of business as usual, kind of the regular things. We've got, obviously, we work together as a team, as you know very mm-hmm. well. So the university always has some big capital asks. Mix in the county, the parks, the school district. You all try to make sure that people are getting what they need. If the package is kind of too big for your community, someone's going to get left out. So there's a little bit of shifting, but the great thing is all our local legislators really work well together. So whether they're on either side of the aisle, they come together and do what's best for Grand Forks. And you don't really see that in Fargo or in other places.
We are very lucky here in Grand Forks. Like you said, no matter who gets elected, at the end of the day, they all work for North Dakota and Grand Forks. I mean, we've had 2 or 3 meetings with them already as a group, and they show up. We know them by name. get phone calls. They call my cell phone. It's really nice.
They're hungry, and really the leadership positions that they have on the different committees, whether it's appropriations, education, transportation, they've situated themselves in leadership roles, and that really benefits not just the state, but certainly our region and Grand Forks in particular.
Yeah, yeah. So note to people that follow the state legislature, we have good leadership coming out of Grand Forks. They are really good. You mentioned transportation buckets. Part of that, whether it's transportation, whether it's water, there's these loan funds you can get from the state, or there's all these different programs that cities use to access. Some of that is to help with ag type businesses that are coming in. One of those that has been in the news, Epitome Energy. Do you have any update from Epitome in their progress?
We're going to hear in January. So they've, it's been one of those projects. I think it's been a couple of years now. They're trying to finalize their funding. You really have to minimize the risk as much as possible in order to get the investors to fully jump in head first. So I know Dennis Egan is doing everything he can there. He's got offtake agreements for the soy mash. He's got the oil. So, I mean, he's trying to de-risk this as much as the biodiesel. He's got buyers for all that. So once you start to piece together those contracts, it becomes a lot easier to get people to know what their rate of return is going to be. What's my internal rate of return? So I think he's getting close. So we'll get an update on that. But we'd really love to see that break ground, because that helps our construction industry. It's going to help our local economy, but ultimately it's going to help our soybean basis for our farmers. And we can talk UAS, we can talk education, we can talk healthcare, but we're still an ag community. And as ag does well, the community does well, and the dollars flow to everybody.
It's interesting, we talk about the end game on projects like that, and we talk about the farming industry, and as you mentioned, those products from soybeans, but the actual construction itself, it helps every plumber in town. I shouldn't say every, you're right, but plumbing industry, electricians, construction. There's so many subcontracts that go on projects like that.
And regardless if you're working on the project or not, somebody else is, so it's going to free up more work for
Correct.
You on other projects. And then if it's bringing construction workers into town, now your hotels, your restaurants, all your service industry does better, sales tax does better. So anytime you can have these large construction projects, and particularly with some of them ending now, you have like the Altru hospitals ending, so there's a lot of workers there. The Frank on the Fourth's ending, and you're seeing the CT center starting to get wrapped up. So some of these bigger projects end. If you've got traveling contractors and they can stay, suddenly maybe you're adding people to your population. Maybe at a minimum it's less expensive, but they're still here spending dollars in our community and to our businesses. Speaking
of adding to the population, I know you do quite a bit of work with the Grand Forks Air Force Base as the mayor of Grand Forks. As part of the job. We're going to have a whole bunch of airmen here from Ellsworth Air Force Base as B-1 bombers are back at the base. Were you able to head out there? There's been 2 on the ground. Yeah. Were you able to head out there?
I haven't got to see one fly in yet. They had delayed the first one. Obviously, some weather, classic, Grand
it was a
Forks,
day like
some weather issues came up, but they had a couple planes that are more used for their spare parts type of thing. So they flew those up first. They're going to tear those down and use them, for parts for the other planes. But anywhere between 500, 600, 700 at a time are going to be up here from Ellsworth Air Force Base. Part of the B-1 bomber program that's going to be here while they get ready for the B-21s to come. So they needed an upfitting and renovation at their base. So we got to house that. There's a couple other bases that are going to have to go through a similar thing. So we may get more in the future if this goes well. And hey, if they make extra B-21s, it'd be a great place to go ahead and park them. But these large, these aircraft that are these large ones that require a lot of maintenance and service, they bring a lot of people with them. So if you think about some of the missions we had back in the days when the base was at 10,000, when we had bombers, tankers, fighters, missiles, we don't have those numbers now. But getting a mission in here even temporarily definitely adds to the economy, and it keeps that base in tip-top shape, and they kind of get all the brass polished, and they get all the fuel lines and everything up to speed. So it's kind of a win all the way around.
I think it's interesting how I think the number of planes that are coming are in the teens, maybe just short of 20, and it's bringing 700 airmen. You talk about support personnel.
I think the number, and I don't know exactly, but like each plane is like 50 support personnel.
Right.
So you're talking potential of 1,000, 1,200 people. So it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it is pretty cool. So another project, I guess, kudos to you, kudos to administration. There's just lots of things that are on the burners, right? Altru Sports Complex, Turf and Aquatics. There's going to be, am I right in understanding at one of the council, there's going to be some bids going out to start construction. The bids going out early 25?
Yeah, I think April 4th is the date. In February, we're going to get the design development package back. So now you get really defined on like exactly what materials are going to be used, how many square footage. So you're going to get really refined on the bids, and we'll have some tough decisions to make if we have to keep this within budget. And then we would be bidding the first package, which is sort of your underground stuff, your steel structure, your concrete work. And then we'll have, I think that's 30 to 40% of the project. Those will be hard numbers. So we'll get those bids to decide on. And then we'll have even tighter bids on the rest of it because the design development package is done. So come April, we're going to have really close to the hard numbers, and we'll make those decisions and move forward. But this has been a 3 to 4 year project. Largely you're going to have park districts are going to be running these things, and similar to Fargo, but we didn't have, the only funding mechanism was if the city got involved. So it's been something I've taken a lead on, and it adds to your plate a little bit. So, times like these at the holidays, you gotta have some time to spend with family, but it's been a heck of a year and a lot of work, but things are going in the right direction.
I think it's important, the way you touched on that, is bidding this in different phases for this project is actually, like you said, you get hard numbers. You're like, all right, so we know we budgeted for 30, but it came in at 29.5. All right, so maybe we have a little more, so maybe we were able to add this on the back end, but you get to that hard number, and I believe the hard number is 110.
Yep.
Yeah, 110 on that one. So,
and some of the alternates, so you have the walking track is one of the things we saw there.
Right.
So you kind of got this alternates that, if things come in better, which numbers on steel have come down. So we've seen certain things that are coming in better, but we don't want to wait. This is a cost saving method here by bidding it in different phases. Because when you bid the underground, you want to bid that now. So your large contractors like to do all their bidding in the spring and in the early, because then they can set their work up for the year. If you're going to start bidding this in August where they already got their plate full, they're going to give you one of those bids that says,
if you take it, great.
If they take it, great. I'll guess I'll make it work. But they tend to be much higher bids.
And we have history that I know from a city standpoint, our engineering department do all the bidding here in January and February. All those contractors line up their jobs. Something happens sometimes and you bid in July. We've had jobs where we refuse the bid because the bid's like absurd.
Well, I think 32nd Avenue. Remember when that one got bid the first time?
Oh yeah, we threw it out. Wasn't even close.
We couldn't accept it, and I think ultimately the state decided, but we pretty well said this isn't going to work. But yeah, I think that this has been run so professional from the start. From the bond council to figure out what we can afford, from the user outreach, the schematic design, design development, selecting the architect, selecting the construction manager at risk, going through the process, the value engineering, just everything has been done so professionally that I'm really excited to see the end product.
So you're saying you're not shooting from the hip on this one?
In 4 years, with the amount of work that's gone into this, I think just about every corner and nook and cranny of that building is going to be efficiently used, and is going to be designed and planned exactly how it needs to be.
Exactly. No, there has been a lot of behind the scenes work in this one. So as mayor, you get to do some fun stuff too, especially this time of year, right? You get asked. You get asked to go to lots of places, right? But if you don't mind talking about some of the things as mayor, as the figure mayor, that you've had a chance to do. I know you helped deliver mattresses for a charity. You served coffee for a little bit.
Yeah.
You've done some of the other stuff. Can you talk about that?
Well, definitely. You're trying to help promote Shop Local. So Sandy Luck's a good friend of mine. They asked to have a celebrity barista over at Bully Brew. So I said, hey,
celebrity.
I know we use that term very loosely, but so apparently there wasn't any celebrities, so they got me.
So they came. That's right.
Yep. So I went over there and served coffee and talked to people, and I think the running joke was, thank you for coming here and not to the evil giant Starbucks.
That's right.
So I was having fun with that. Definitely have had some schools, the youth commission's another group that we're working with that come over. We give them some thoughts on different things, whether it's the sport complex, they'll bring some different stuff to us.
Sure.
I've had some Prairie Voyage School. I'm probably saying it wrong. They came in and visit Prairie Voyager, I believe is the school's name, came in and visited me.
Voyager. Yes.
They asked great questions as part of their civics program. I mean, these are the type of programs that I think are important for young kids, whether it's civics, finance, those types of things. So coming to visit City Hall was a big deal. They were all excited. They asked good questions. What else? We delivered mattresses, Homes for the Holiday, it's called. It's a program that Slumberland does. So I went out with the firefighters. We delivered a whole bunch of mattresses to people, and you'd be surprised at how many people are struggling and may not have a bed to sleep on.
That's a
and
game changer.
Yeah, suddenly you got a mattress with we had a platform that we put together, gave them the mattresses, and those kids are going to have. And there's a group out of Northwood that stitches together quilts, so they've got bedding and everything.
With it too?
So yeah, they come home and it's fully made, everything for them, and they were sleeping on the floor before.
Yep.
So it's a humbling, very humbling experience, but something that I enjoy doing every year. I think it's the third or fourth year that we've done it. The fire department's done it for like 30
fire department
years.
Forever. Yeah, part of the union. One thing that was new this year that you got to do, is Mr. Clark Griswold for a day. Is you got to light a Christmas tree after multiple attempts. But something new this year is the city Christmas tree in Town Square. That was a fun event. Part of the holidazzle. That was a good time.
We've been doing it for years out on
Yes.
Demers there. There's
We
a tree
moved
that's
it.
been there for years. So with the Listen Center, we used to go out there and light it, and there'd be just a few of us around it. We'd light it, and it was a fun thing to do, but I felt like we could get more out of it. Let's move this down to Town Square. So I got them involved, got the DDA involved. We got that 26-foot tree. It looks beautiful. So then we had the lighting ceremony at the end of the Holidazzle Parade. Well, the whole skit was great. I had the button. Travis had set up the button for me, so I was gonna give the countdown, and we were gonna fake it. Like it didn't work,
Right.
and we were gonna do it a couple times and finally light it. Well, I was expecting like 50, 60 people there. There was 600-700 people around the
Town
tree.
Square was full.
So where I had to go to be on the mic was like probably 30 feet away from the tree. Well, my clicker needed to go to the tree, but there was so many people that it wasn't reading it. So in trying to be funny, now suddenly it really didn't work.
And then there was a panic.
Then there was a panic. So it took like a minute 30 longer than we were supposed to. And I had to literally worm my way through the crowd as the DJ was doing the countdown. And then finally I got close enough so it worked. And we turned the tree on, and it hasn't turned off since.
It's I should probably say this. When you were trying to light that tree, I was there, and I was standing next to your wife.
Yeah.
And after a couple of tries, all I heard behind my shoulder was, "Oh, Brandon."
Oh, gee. It was, I don't know what the temperature was. It was probably like 10 degrees up, but I was sweating bullets.
But that was a fun event. It was the holiday parade. People everywhere. It was
Hot chocolate.
It was a fun way to kick off the holiday
singing
season.
Christmas carols. I mean, that's what it's all about. It was a really great event.
It was. So speaking of holidays, you have lived all over the country, all over the world, right? Christmas is one of those holidays that is worldwide,
Yep.
right? It's not a, we have a Hamza out in our office, and every once in a while, like Thanksgiving, I'm like, Hamza, what do you do on Thanksgiving? This is very much but Christmas is worldwide.
Yeah.
What are some of the differences you've seen in different parts of you've been in cold climates, you've been in warm climates, you've been in, right? Do you have anything that's maybe stood out of, what they do over here is kind of neat for the holiday that is maybe unique to there or unique to that part of the world?
Well, I did enjoy. We did get a couple when I played in Tampa. We got a couple Christmases in Tampa, Florida, which was nice.
That's not terrible.
And then a couple in Fort Myers as well. It's a little easier to put your Christmas lights up when there's not ice on your roof. Then over in Kazakhstan, more of a Russian sort of Orthodox style. So Snovingodom is like Happy New Year. So they celebrate it more in the first week of January. They take an entire week off. It's a massive celebration there. So. Obviously was there for 8 years for Christmases, away for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, birthdays, spending 8 years living overseas with my family with me for 6 of it. We were ready to come home as we love the holidays and we've been away from people for so long. So that's kind of the tradition there. Almost, things in the whole city in Astana there shut down. I mean, it was.
Oh, really?
The restaurants would still go, but you wouldn't expect to get any work done at a business that wasn't in the service industry.
Would the league shut down too, or would you
Yep,
still
the
play?
league would shut down, and then they would have they would use that as a break. So if you had if you were on one of the national teams, you'd go and spend 2 weeks. It'd be a national break, so then you'd go play with your national team to get ready for the World Championship. So we'd get a break. It'd be like the first 10 days in January, something like that, but not enough time. Not where we would get to leave. We were still practicing.
Right.
We got a job to do. But
Right.
that was definitely an interesting, different tradition there. But certainly enjoyable. I'm glad to be home.
You mentioned in Tampa in the Southern climate. I have a good friend of mine. This was years ago, and moved to Florida.
Yeah.
And he said that was actually a little bit weird. Christmas and there's the things he associated with Christmas were snow, sledding, and he goes, and none of that is there. And he goes, it took me a couple of Christmases to get used to that. Was that something that caught you off guard?
I mean, I wasn't there. I think maybe 2 years we were there for that. But I mean, when you got palm trees that have the Christmas lights on, it just doesn't really work. And there's it's nice and warm. You're wearing your shorts on Christmas Day. The tree just feels awkward, then you go swimming or something. I mean, it was different. But obviously half our country celebrates Christmas like that, and not as many get to enjoy the 4 seasons that we do. So I enjoy it.
Half the country celebrates Christmas like that, but every Christmas movie has snow in it.
Yeah, that's true. There's not a lot of Christmas in Palm Beach movies. I'll tell you that.
That's right.
It doesn't quite have the same feel. Maybe Lifetime will get on that. I don't know.
Or they have, and I just haven't seen it yet. Here's another one. Speaking of the holidays, I don't know if you've noticed, but I like food. I've built this body. Do you have any? Because I've got a couple. Do you have any Bochenski family? Your current family, whatever, something you've come up with on your own? Is there a food tradition that you guys do around Christmas or the holidays?
Well, we're big. I love the casserole, so I love the green bean casserole, the corn casserole, and then probably it's this. Oh, my wife makes it. It's probably like pure sugar, but it's like whipped cream with cherries and I don't even know what else is in it. Kind of a fruit medley thing with marshmallows and Cool Whip, and it's just it's amazing. So I usually eat a bucket of that, feel bad about myself, and go for a walk after that, or take a nap, one of the two.
That's right. It does the same thing. You're still burning calories.
It's the same thing. You know, we had a great Thanksgiving. It was kind of the same deal. You know, you eat, watch some football, and spend some time with the kids jumping on you. So. We love the holidays. My wife's a Christmas complete nut. So like she's got these Christmas tree earrings. We got trees everywhere. You know, next thing, every time I come home, there's some new decoration and it hasn't slowed down. So
she's rubbed off on you because every time I come to City Hall, there's a new decoration up at City Hall.
Well, I think when I first came in, I remember my first year and it's like 2 weeks before Christmas and like there's nothing up in the building. I'm like, I asked I don't remember who it was at the time, but I asked the secretary, I was like, what's going on here? Like, oh, well, we haven't really done that in the last few years. I'm like, well, where's all the stuff? And they like went back to this room and it was like, all these boxes of Christmas stuff. And I'm like, let's get this stuff out. Like, let's be in a cheery holiday mood and we can spread that to others. So I think it's just built and built now. You know, if you go through City Hall, I think it's going to put you in a good mood these days.
Well, we were talking in our office. The number of Christmas trees up in City Hall continues to multiply.
Yeah,
but they're all over. I will say in my house. No, I grew up in a Scandinavian household. We didn't do lutefisk. My wife did, and we don't do that now. I put my foot down. We don't need the house smelling. But we would do potato sausage. It's a very much a Swedish thing that would only come out at the holidays.
Yeah.
That is something. Only my son and I will eat it. My wife goes. In fact, my wife won't even make it. She goes, "You make it."
Well, my father-in-law did pull out the pickled herring the other day.
Oh, my dad.
I started with the beer. I ate it and washed it down with a beer. So that was about the only way to do it. And I still think it came up a little bit.
I was going to say, and that's a good way to ruin a beer.
Oh, and then he had it, and I just said, we better finish the jar now, there, Dennis. So get it done.
My father would have pickled herring and would go up to grandkids who don't know any better. Right, they're just like little, like in a high chair, and slip them some pickled herring just to see what would happen. Yep, not his kids, it's grandkids, so you can just deal with it. No, it was awesome. Mayor, I wish you a Merry Christmas. We did this here real quick. I also want to give a shout out to our streets department.
Oh, we got quite a blizzard going out there. I want to do the same.
It's not great.
Yeah, I mean it's. If you want to talk about the Christmas spirit, we got plenty of white stuff down just in time.
It's a snow globe out there right now. So Merry Christmas to you and your family. I hope you guys have a good break here. And then in January, we're going to hit the ground running.
Yeah, and same thing. I want to just wish everyone in the community a Merry Christmas and hope they have a Happy New Year. And we got a few weeks off of council meetings. So I think everyone's going to be in a great mood coming to 2025.
Not going to lie. I don't mind the Mondays off. It's pretty good. And hey, guys at Best Source, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you guys as well. Absolutely. And if you want to catch this episode or any other episode of City Chatter Podcast, go to grandforksgov.com/podcast. We've got them archived there. Again, this is episode 33. You can go back to episode 1. You can listen to that one and see how it's going around the city. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year to everybody. We will see you in 2025.